The new bouncy house of the future actually cleans the air, and all it needs is the powerful energy from playful children. In today's Top 5. Welcome to NowThis COP26 Edition. I'm Alejandro Alba in Glasgow, where the end of the conference is in sight. Let's count down and get to the biggest stories you need to know. Starting at number 5, only in Glasgow would you find a bouncy house that also cleans the air. It looks like a giant jellyfish, and trust me, it's pretty fun to get inside and bounce around. But this clear bouncy house of the future is so much more.
It's powered by literally solar energy and the boundless energy of children jumping.
And when they do, air is sucked into the walls of the clear playhouse, where carbon dioxide and other pollutants are absorbed by algae.
We wanted to show that there are tangible actions you can take. They won't solve the problem, but they are bottom-up actions that can be shown in an urban space. It's a real living experiment that we're doing.
And let's face it, the energy it requires from playful kids who love a good bouncy house will never be in short supply. At number 4, the most important comic book on Earth has no actual superheroes to save the world. Instead, it's filled with a variety of dark, humorous comics from the perspective of the biodiversity humans are destroying.
The female orangutan says, "I've had a lovely time with you, and then maybe we should go back to your place." And the male orangutan says, "Oh, it's kind of a mess." She's like, "I don't mind." And in the last panel, you see that his home is being deforested for palm oil.
The collaboration was put together by Rewriting Extinction founder Paul Goodenough, who says the messages of environmentalists were not being heard by the everyday people that need to hear them most. One of the comic features Mother Earth texting humans about the future and getting ghosted. The book focuses heavily on reversing extinction without losing sight of indigenous people, who will receive 100% of the proceeds.
We are working with indigenous groups across the planet to buy the land that they already live on, but they don't own. And in doing so, we can save about 1,000 species from extinction.
Goodenough says the reception has been incredible. More than 110 million views online, and there are more comics to come. Number 3, a flurry of pledges to cap global temperatures at 1.5 degrees Celsius. Professor Jeffrey Sachs says it's doable, but it's going to take way more than diplomats and declarations.
Come on, is this a game, or is this our planet that we're trying to save? That's really what's at issue here, and we need much more detail and consequence of what's happening country by country, and we need coordinated analysis and discussion and brainstorming on that.
Sachs is the director for the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University in New York. He is keeping close tabs on the commitments he sees coming from COP.
There has been some progress because more countries committed to net zero. There have been commitments on the rainforest. There have been many other kinds of commitments. It doesn't add up to what we need. So I think most of us are viewing this as worrisome.
The bottom line, he says the world needs to decarbonize by 2050, but it's going to take more than just 2 weeks of conversations every 5 years, and a lot more cooperation.
Each government says, "I'm in charge." Each politician says, "I'm in charge." The result is no one is really responsible for the global climate, and we are getting increasingly into disaster territory.
At number 2, a handful of young activists are still skeptical about what COP26 could achieve. We wanted to hear why firsthand.
If empty promises and speeches would have been solving the climate crisis, then we would have been far off. This wouldn't have been a problem in the first place.
We caught up with 19-year-old activist Eric Njuguna from Nairobi, Kenya, where the effects of climate change are drastic. Extreme drought that's killing off entire harvest and livestock. The temperature there is expected to increase by an alarming 2.5 degrees Celsius by 2050.
I feel very frustrated as someone who is being affected firsthand by the climate crisis. Sometimes you might not see it on social media because social media has created this kind of culture where you only see the good things. But in reality, I cannot lie, we're not doing well emotionally, mentally, because this is our very own lives at stake.
While discouraged, Eric says he's not losing hope in the movement he's dedicated to. And he tells us what he would do if he was sitting inside one of those conference rooms in Glasgow.
If I was on the decision-making table today, I think the first thing that I would try and do is stop all new oil and gas exploration, because it is clear we need a just transition to new renewable energy. What I would do is create more climate finance and make it in non-debt creating forms, because debt justice is climate justice.
And at number 1, in a surprising move, US and China sign a pact to work together in fighting climate change. surprising since both nations started COP26 on a chilly note, filled with tension and sniping after President Biden scolded President Xi Jinping for not attending the summit.
The United States and China have no shortage of differences, but on climate, cooperation is the only way to get this job done. This is not a discretionary thing, frankly. This is science. It's math and physics that dictate the road that we have to travel.
The world's largest greenhouse gas emitters almost sound like allies now. But while this may seem like progress, skeptics are quick to point out that the terms aren't particularly aggressive.
The US and China cooperating is critical. But what we saw in this deal is a solidifying of previous commitments. So it's important that these two huge countries work together, but the fact is the US is set to expand production of oil and gas more than any other country in the world right now. So it's not a transition if we continue to grow the problem. And right now, both China and the US are growing the problem.
That's today's top news. What was the biggest for you? Tell me in the comments below. And make sure to follow NowThis Earth for more COP26 news. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more news you need to know.